very nice feeling. I wish you are happy today, staying happy and healthy. And then I send you the very best positive vibes that the world could offer from here. I don't know, maybe it feels like a rainbow, sunshines, butterflies, or unicorns, or maybe it feels like nice warm feeling inside when outside is quite chilly, like in Rejomoyo Kediri right now. I don't know, I have no idea, but I hope you are staying positive and enjoying your life for sure. Yes. Okay. For the participants, I think it's quite a lot of people have joined us here, yeah.
Osa, are you there? Can everyone see Osa? Is she gone?
Yeah, disappeared.
Okay. I think there might be something trouble with her internet connection. So yeah, Kenzie, welcome to our online seminar or workshop. It's kind of very challenging that today during the time we have an online classroom or discussion, and also it's something related to the internet connection as well, and that's why sometimes people got trouble for that. But then we are so happy to have you, Kenzie. Thank you so much for being available. We have been waiting for this time to share everything related to English, especially because you are a native speaker of English. So we believe that you are the best person to go to share and ask a question related to English. And then, yeah, before we begin, I would like to welcome Ibu Dr. Ari Setia Budiningrum as our head of English department to give an opening remark. Bu Ari, you have the floor.
Well, thank you, Aini. Hello, guys. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's guest lecture series 4, which is held by English Department IAIN Kediri with the theme Be Millennial, Be Confident to Speak English. Okay, it is my pleasure to welcome you, all of you who are already attend our event today. And on behalf of my institution, I would like to express our gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Miss Kenzie. Thank you very much for being available in our event as a speaker in our guest lecture. As you know, it is already series 4. And if I'm not mistaken, I have already known Kenzie a little bit. I'm not quite sure whether Kenzie still remember me or not, but I still remember that Miss Kenzie is very kind, already was helpful in our department to train our debate team in IAIN Kediri. It was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, when she was doing her pre-service training with Peace Corps in Kediri. So she was very helpful in our debate club. Yeah, thank you very much, Kenzie. And now you are very, very kind to spare your time with us today. I really appreciate it. And I do hope that you will be do not mind again if we invite you again, if we have such kind of this event again in the next time. Okay, as you know, can see that most of these participants is the freshman of my department, that is English education department. Yeah, so maybe most of the freshmen have not been already get contact with native speaker. So in this event, I would like you to give us some tips, or maybe, yeah, how the way when they get contact with the native speaker, what they should say maybe, or what kind of chit chat that they should give to the native speaker when they meet them. I know that taken from the participant, most of them is still the freshmen of our department. Okay, I think without further ado, that's all my my speech for welcome all of the participants and especially our distinguished speaker, the Kenzi. And I give it back the floor to Miss Aini. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bu Ari. Oh yeah, Kenzi, if I'm not mistaken, you also joined some like participation for being judge or so in Kediri's competition, yeah? English Massive, and then we have EJET, stands for English, I forgot that one.
There was like so many, I think like 5 or 6 times in Kediri. I don't remember all of the competitions, but many of them.
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot. Also, before we begin, I would like to read a short bio from Kenzi, so I hope that everyone can have a look. This one. So her name is Kenti Holt. She was graduated from Loyola University with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And during her college, she often volunteered and taught English to immigrant kids just like us as non-native English speakers in Indonesia. Yeah, she's been here for about 2 years more. And then after university, she had a calling to join Peace Corps, one of an American organization, and became a volunteer English teacher in Kediri, exactly SMA Negeri 7 Kediri. And after 2 years of volunteering, she decided that she didn't want to leave Indonesia. This is so sweet. Yeah. And she decided she didn't want to leave Indonesia, and she moved to Surabaya and is currently teaching English at a private Christian school up to now. So she's in Surabaya right now. And yeah, this is the short bio from Kenzi. And I think now it's her turn. Kenzi, you have the time.
Yes.
Please,
okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so I have a short presentation. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, I think, because there's a lot of questions and really good questions. So I want to make sure we have enough time for those as well. But
yeah.
I think this presentation is going to answer quite a few of the questions that I'm seeing in the chat. So yes, hopefully I can answer some of your questions with the presentation, and then the ones that I don't answer, we can answer afterwards, okay?
Yeah.
So the topic that I'm speaking about today is being a millennial, and what does that mean? And also be confident to speak English. So first, let me introduce myself. This was kind of already stated, but yes, I've been teaching English for 8 years, both in America and in Indonesia. Indonesia, I've been here for almost 5 years. In March, it will be 5 years, so quite a long time. I love cats and babies, and I like traveling, but I prefer to go to the beach rather than the mountains. I speak Indonesian pretty well, but today I will not show you that skill. I'll just speak English today. And I came here as a volunteer, like Aini said, and I worked in Kediri for 2 years. And then now I work in Surabaya. Okay, so just some pictures of my life. So you have the proof that I lived in Kediri. This on the left side is the picture of my host family that I lived with during my 2 years in Kediri. And the right side is a travel picture in Malaysia. And here's my me taking care of the street cats and feeding the animals in the street. Okay, so getting into the presentation, my first part of this presentation that we need to discuss is who are millennials? We say be a millennial, but who are millennials? Who are we trying to be? So millennials are described as the first global generation. So what does that mean? That means millennials are the first generation of people who actually are becoming global, both in work, in play, so like traveling and meeting people abroad and things like that. Millennials are mostly people born in the 90s, but the word millennial doesn't necessarily only talk about the people born in the 90s. It's talking about this idea of becoming global and becoming more worldwide as a human. So we, as millennials, are the first generation to have cell phones and computers like at the tip of our fingers. Like my mom, of course, my mom until now, she still doesn't know how to use a smartphone, and she's not even old or anything. She's only 50 and she cannot use a smartphone. So it's like we are really the first generation to understand what it means to have the internet at the tip of our fingers. You know, many millennials want to help the world. They're idealists. They have big ideas about doing things outside of their normal day-to-day life. And millennials are more ready to travel. They're ready to work abroad, and they're ready to move and do things outside of their own city and their own country even than the generations before them. So this leads to one common thing, and that thing is English. So we're going to discuss why English is so important for millennials. But before that, let's think about millennials. And this is a question that I want you guys to actually answer. So my question is, what are some adjectives that describe millennials? Adjectives. Can somebody, you can put in the chat if you're too shy to unmute, but you're also, it's okay if you unmute yourself and answer. What are some adjectives that describe millennials? Creative, yeah, that's a great one. Anyone else have an adjective?
Can anyone answer? Like, what are the characteristics of being millennial? I think one of them is always excited.
Brave.
Yes, excited.
Because millennial
and
have
up to date. And up to date to the information.
Yeah, that's great. So I have wrote a few down as well. And I said active, which really goes with excited, enthusiastic. They're active in what they want to get done. They're idealists, meaning they have lots of ideas and especially new ideas. They're hard workers. Sometimes you can read in the news and things like that, the generation before us, like the baby boomers, we call that generation baby boomers. It's like the age of maybe our grandparents. Sometimes they say that millennials are lazy, but I think in reality, millennials are hard workers. And they're global minded, meaning millennials think outside of the box. They think outside of just their own country or their own city. I think millennials are leaders and forward thinkers, thinking ahead. Also open-minded, ready to learn new things. And all of these reasons give us very good good reasons to speak English, because you can't speak global-minded if you cannot communicate with people from other places. So in this world, it's just the truth that English is kind of the global language. Now, I'm not saying that that's the best thing to have happened, because as we know, English became the global language because English-speaking countries, especially Britain and your other European countries and even America, have kind of taken over control of the business markets and become like monopoly countries over the other countries. So I don't necessarily agree with all of the things that Western countries have done in history, but this is not a history lesson. This is just facing the facts. So the facts of today's world is that English has become the global language. So whether or not we agree with that or disagree with that, it's something that we have to accept if we want to be global-minded leaders. So Why should millennials care about English? Why should millennials be focused on English? And one of the main reasons that I can see, especially as university students, you can be thinking about this. Employers want bilingual people now more than ever. So just being able to speak English gives you so many more opportunities for jobs. It can allow you to expand outside of your field. So for example, me, just because I'm a native speaker, I was able to continue teaching English without having to go back to university and get another teaching degree, because I did not study teaching in school. I studied like law and criminal justice. So with English, I was able to still, live my dream of being an English teacher with experience rather than with the university degree. So just being able to speak English can allow you to kind of expand your job opportunities. And also it can allow you to make more money. And, life is not about money, but money is needed in life. So if you can make more money just because you speak English, why not, English also can fuel your global curiosity. So, some of the ways that we learn English is, watching movies or speaking to people from other countries, different things like that. And that allows you to feel more curious about the world and learn more about the world. And this point relates to what I was saying before. The trend of English is not going away anytime soon. English has become really a global language in this world, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So it's better if you just learn English rather than waiting for that to change. And I found this statistic that from 2003 until 2013, so only 10 years, the number of millennials who speak 2 or more languages increased by 75%. So it's proving also that millennials are trying to better themselves, are moving forward, are increasing their language abilities. Another fact is that learning a language is a proven confidence booster. If you can get better and better at English, you're going to get more and more confident in English. So it's kind of like the more you do it, the better you can. And the reason I can say that this is true is because of my experience learning Bahasa Indonesia. When I first moved here, I didn't speak any words in Indonesian. And slowly over the past 4 years, I've become, I don't want to say fluent, but pretty fluent in Bahasa Indonesia. And that's due to the fact that first of all, I had no choice because I had to learn the language of the country I'm living in, but also practice. Just going out, going on vacation by myself, speaking to people, practicing constantly. And it definitely gave me a confidence boost to be able to do it. And another interesting fact is that this is very not an exact number, but on generally it's only about 10% of Indonesians who can speak English well. So if you think about that and relate it to job opportunities and employers and travel opportunities, if there's only 10% of Indonesians who can speak English well, if you are one of those, you have a much bigger opportunity to do well in the world, and especially in Indonesia. So if you're one of those small percentages, you can get those jobs where they need English speakers. You can get those pay raises for speaking 2 languages. You can travel with your work. You can work in companies that need international speakers. So yeah, it's really a great skill to have. So I'm sorry, I'm not trying to rush this. If you feel too rushed, tell me to slow down. I'm just trying to leave enough time for you guys to ask all your questions because there's a lot of questions. Okay.
Yeah, as well. You can go on, Kenzie.
Okay. Okay, so the big question is how. I see in the chat as well. There's many students who are saying, how do we learn English? How can we get better? What can we do? How do we do this? And that's a really great question. How is a great question. So I have some tips here. So one of my tips is to study phrases, not words. So I know for maybe your English classes, there may be times where you have to study words, maybe if you're doing a vocabulary lesson or you're learning something new. But generally, for learning English, you should study phrases, not words. So I often hear people who don't speak English say things like, I love you, or how are you, or hello, miss. Those are all phrases that they've picked up from watching movies, from YouTube videos, from, I don't know, anything. But those phrases are really easy for people to learn. I don't want to say easy. English is not easy. English is difficult. Don't feel stressed out if it's difficult. It is a difficult language. But learning the phrases is much easier than learning words. If you learn the word how and you learn the word are, sorry, just dropped my.
Are you okay, Kenzie?
Yeah, I just dropped my microphone. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, guys. So if you learn the word individually, how, then the next day you learn the word are, and then the next day you learn the word you, it's going to be confusing when you're trying to put those words together into a phrase. You have to remember, are you how, are you you? You have to remember which order it goes in, and it can get confusing. So how are you? If you learn that as a phrase, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. Thank you. Something like that. If you learn those phrases, it actually makes the speaking easier than if you learn word by word. And then, of course, I'm sure you've heard this many times, but learn by listening. So listening can be done in many different ways. It can be in movies, it can be in TV, it can be in music, it could be speaking to your friends and listening to them. It could be listening done at an academic level. Yeah, there's many different ways of listening, and I'm going to give you some of those as well after this. So another good thing is to get a placement test. So actually online on EF, English First website, they have a free placement test. I'm not promoting English First. I'm just saying that they have a free placement test if you want to see where you rank. So then you can see what areas you need to improve in. But there's plenty of other free placement tests online as well. So you can kind of take these tests and place yourself and see where your English skills are. And you should prioritize quality over quantity. So you don't need to focus on learning as much as you can, as fast as you can, but focus on learning quality things. So learning phrases that are common in English, and learning phrases that you will actually use in your daily life. So you don't need to, quantity would be like learning, you guys are English students, right? So if you, for example, started learning doctoral phrases, so like things that, words that medical professionals use, maybe in English you can use that sometimes, but it's not really super important at this point in your studies for you to learn like medical phrases and things like that. So you should focus more on quality, which is things that you're going to use in your studies now and things that you're going to use in your daily life. So learning words that are actually, words and phrases that are actually important to what you are using now or what you're going to be using now. Okay, another one is to learn grammar with point of view stories. So point of view stories is, learning grammar from someone telling a story about like what they're doing. So I went to the store and I bought shampoo and soap and bread, and then I went home. Okay, that's a very short story, but it's from my point of view, so you can learn the English grammar with the point of view of I. And then you could listen to or read a story of someone saying she, blah, 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 and telling the story about someone else. And we, and then you can read these stories and it can really help you with grammar, but in a way that's not feeling like you're studying grammar. And another tip here is to listen and answer, not listen and repeat. You don't want to mock the words that the person's saying. So when you're learning English, you don't want to hear, how are you? And then you repeat, how are you? And then, I am fine. And you repeat, I am fine. You want to practice listening and responding. So if you're practicing learning the phrase, how are you? You want to be practicing answering, I am fine, or I am great, or something like that. So it's really important that you are listening and answering and not just repeating what the person's saying. Another tip that I have is to take extra lessons from multiple different teachers. So I know that this is difficult because of money. I mean, English lessons are very expensive and you guys are already paying for university as it is. So I have some ways to practice English for free. Maybe somehow I can get this PowerPoint to you guys after this, so you can click these links that are here and use this. But do have some tips here. So there's a couple mobile apps that you can use, like Duolingo and FluentU, that are free and they help with grammar as well. There's also, you can do things like having fun online with online TV, YouTube channels, different things like that. You can also connect with other English learners. So I put two forums here. One is English as a Second Language forum, and one is Dave's English as a Second Language Cafe. This one's really famous, and it's like all English language learning students who get on these forums and they just have discussions about random things. So this would be more of reading and writing rather than listening, but yeah, people get on here and have conversations about all different topics. There's many topics on there, and there's lots and lots of students who talk on these forums. And then another thing that I have is to practice with a native English speaker. There's actually some free websites that allow you to practice with speaking with other native speakers or with other people who are learning English. So I have a link here to all of those different websites. So maybe later somehow we can send you this PowerPoint, and then you can click this link if you want to check out all of those different free ways to speak online. Okay, and then I added this slide. It's a little bit unrelated to the millennial aspect, but kind of still related, because it's, you know, you may, as millennials, you may have opportunities to speak with native speakers. So I do have some tips for you, and I saw a few people asking questions about that as well. So one of my tips is learn commonly used English phrases. So there's tons of lists online of commonly used English phrases. If you search those and then study those lists, it will help you when it comes time to speaking with a native speaker, if you learn the commonly used phrases in English. And also, you could find these in, in movies and TV shows as well. Another tip is to listen to English accents from different places. I saw a question earlier that someone asked. There's many different, I think they said there's many different accents in English. And how do native speakers handle all the different accents or something like that? And that's true. There's many accents in English. Australia is different from Great Britain. Great Britain's different from America. America is different from South Africa. And then on top of that, there's many countries who have a lot of English speakers, like India, but it's not their native language, so they have even a different accent. And then all the people who have learned English on their own have their own accent. So yes, there's many different English accents. But if you're planning to talk to a native speaker, maybe if you know where they're from, there's four main accents that you could study, and that's the American accent, which is the most easy, I think, British accent, Australian accent, and South African accent. Those are the four main accents that you could study, and you could listen to them online and try to understand that before you start meeting with native speakers. I think for me, the most difficult to understand most of the time is the British accent, depending on where the person is from. But yeah, native speakers also sometimes have issues understanding each other, especially people from Scotland or from Ireland. You know, they have a very different way of speaking than Americans. So sometimes, you know, we often have issues understanding them as well. So it's not just non-native to natives, but it's also sometimes native speakers to native speakers have difficulties as well. Okay, another thing is don't be nervous. And I know, that's so easy for me to say as a native speaker. Don't be nervous, it's fine, don't be nervous. I get it, you're nervous. I also get very nervous before when I was learning Bahasa Indonesia and I had to speak Indonesian. I was so nervous, especially if I had to speak in front of a group of people. And again, I know it kind of is like repeat mode, but the only thing I can really give you for advice on not being nervous is to practice. The more normal English feels in your mouth, the easier it's going to come out later. So even though it's a native speaker, if you've been speaking in English every day with your friends or with your teachers or with people around you, when it comes time to meet the native speaker, it's going to feel more normal coming out of your mouth. And it's going to allow you to have conversations that are actually good conversations and not those conversations where you get so nervous you don't know what to say. I'm sure we've all been there before. But I would say that most native speakers, especially if you're speaking to them in Indonesia, for example, me as a native speaker here, we understand that English is not your first language. So the average native speaker is going to be pretty understanding and caring, that you're not going to be, you may not be, some of you may be, but some of you may not be perfect English speakers, and we're okay with that. The most important thing about learning English is the communication. Can you actually communicate with someone in a way that makes sense? It's not, do you have perfect, absolute perfect grammar? That's not what we're looking for if we're having a regular conversation. Maybe if you want to become a writer, if you want to become an author or, you know, like a journalist or some sort of degree where you have to write and your writing is going to be seen, or you're speaking on TV or something like that, maybe that's when you need to have better or almost perfect grammar. But for most of us here, I think most of you are learning English to potentially teach English in the future, or use it in some other workplace. And for that reason, you don't have to be perfect in your grammar. Of course, grammar is still something you should study. It's still something you will continue studying over your next few years of university, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is communication. So can you actually communicate using English is the most important thing. Okay, and my next tip is to be polite, which I think most of you are polite because on average, Indonesian people are very polite and kind. But yes, be polite and not so formal. You don't need to come and speak to a native speaker like, hello, miss, may I ask you a question? You can come and speak to us like, hello, good morning, how are you today? Are you enjoying whatever you're doing? So are you enjoying your coffee, or are you enjoying Indonesia? Are you enjoying whatever is the instance that you're talking to them in, rather than being so formal. Hello, may I please ask you a question? Like, that's very polite still, but to make things feel more comfortable, you don't need to be so formal in the beginning. You can start with, hello, good morning, how are you? I hope you're enjoying your breakfast. Do you mind if we have a conversation for a few minutes? I'm learning English and I would like to practice speaking with you. Something like that. You can still ask them, can I practice speaking with you? But do it in a way that's not so formal, not so like you're reading exactly from the page. Okay, and then another thing, just like the tip I told you about speaking, learning phrases, not words, you should be listening in the same way. Don't listen to every single little word that they're saying, but try to listen for phrases and longer things that they're saying rather than just every individual word. And then, of course, start the conversation naturally. That's what I was just talking about before, in a not so formal way. Okay, so I went a little bit quicker than originally planned for my presentation so that we have lots of time for questions. So I see that there's lots and lots and lots of questions in the chat, which is awesome. You guys are way more active than my own students.
Yeah. Kenzie, would
My
you mind
students are-
opening the question from the students who probably want to ask you directly in a live voice? Or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want chat? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a great presentation from Kenzie. Thank you so much. That is super helpful, I think, which is also helpful for me, either as an English teacher, not only for students, yeah. Like the one when you want to, for example, learn English, you need to use a lot of phrases rather than just words. So I agree with you, Kenzie. So like in elementary school, the kids, they always learn on how to say in a phrases or in a statement like good morning, not in a word like good, and then morning, and then that's that. So just like how are you, rather than just how is bagaimana, you is kamu, or something like. So yeah, I would like to welcome our students. I see there one of student who raised the hand, Ubaidillah, and also, oh yeah, Ubaidillah, would you mind being the second speaker? No, I mean the second student who want to ask the question, because I want to have the student from the first semester.
Okay, miss, no problem.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. You can ask the question. Sophie Lutfiana and who's that? Ahmad Mukodam. Okay. You can have the time. Idam, you ready? Or Sophie first? Or Idam first. Okay.
So let me introduce myself. My name is Sophie Lutfiana. I'm from class B, from first semester. So today I want to ask about vocabularies. So obviously English has a lot of vocabularies to express our emotions and feelings. Sometimes there's one word that in my native language that it doesn't exist in English. So whenever I start to speak with someone in English, I don't know how to say it because this word doesn't exist in English. So can you give some tips on how to deal with this problem? Thank you.
Yes. So I have that problem on the opposite way, right? So if there's a word in Indonesian that we don't have in English, and then like I've been on the opposite end is what I'm saying. You're on the end where you understand the word but you cannot say it in English. I've been on the other end where I hear the word but no one can explain it to me in English. So I understand your frustration and confusion. So I think for me the biggest thing that has helped with that in my past experience is being able to explain. So using adjectives to describe the thing that you're meaning, or using describing type words to get the point that you're trying to make. So one example that I have is the word eman, which in English it translates, well, it doesn't really translate. Even till now, it's been 5 years, I still cannot translate that word. But it kind of means like keepsake, or there's no translation, but the way that it was explained to me is eman is something that's special and something that's like you don't want to get rid of because it's something you should hold on to. And for me, that type of explanation worked. And then like over time, I was able to understand the word. But I think, yeah, when you're having a conversation in English with someone who doesn't speak Indonesian and can't understand the word that you don't know how to translate, I think the best thing you can do is use describing words and try your best to describe the thing to the person. So there is quite a few words like that, especially in Japanese, that just don't have an English translation, or it just doesn't make the same point in English. So yeah, the best thing you can do is try and be able to describe the word or describe the thing without having to use translators, because the translator will not give you the right the right thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. You can see that the translating, sometimes the translation machine is also just a tool to help, but then we do not use it exactly like it is, because there are some lot of loan words from any other languages, not only Indonesian and English, but then some of that they don't work in any from the source language into the target language. Like when you say eman in Bahasa Jawa, it's kind of like we don't really want to spend the thing for some reason. Or do you want, or can we say just save the time or save the money? Is it eman or yeah? Just like when I think like the native speakers, you guys, the volunteer, asked me the way on how to say masuk angin in English. Yeah, I don't think masuk angin does exist in English because you guys don't know this term.
We don't have that sickness in America. That's an Indonesian sickness, but
yeah,
I often get it now. I understand masuk angin now. After 5 years, I understand it because I get sick when I take the motorcycle at night.
Oh, I see. But then do you have the specific term for masuk angin in English? Or I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. So I just can describe like masuk angin is like a stomachache, but not really stomachache. It's kind of like, yeah, it's confusing to describe actually. Yeah.
It's like wind in your wind in your stomach.
It's a wind in the stomach, but no butterfly, yeah. Okay, Kenzie, before we go on, would you mind stop sharing so we can really focus on you as the speaker and some of the students? Yeah. Thank you. We go on the next participants who want to ask the question. I see there is Idam. Yeah, you have the time.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Muqaddamanullah from A class. The question that always around in my mind is, as long as I've been learning English, what is the first what I have to learn? What kind of word? And because right now is native speakers, the speeches, so what is the first word must we learn? Even like slang word or idiomatic word or formal word, because just now when we want to learn English, we have to start from fresh. While when we learn English, like exactly local speakers, if you want to say like a comfortable place, some native speakers say a bit of down. So maybe as you native speakers have suggestion, what is commonly used by native speaker to speak slang word or idiomatic word or formal word? Maybe that's all. Thank you.
I think in America we often use slang and informal speech. I think the longer that I've been in Indonesia, the less slang that I use, because of being an English teacher and teaching English as a second language. So I understand that slang can be confusing sometimes. So for me, I use less slang now, But if you were actually speaking with someone fresh from America, someone who just came, like a tourist or something like that, you're going to hear a lot of slang. You're going to hear a lot of slang and a lot of informal, very informal language. So I think if you are wanting to be more of a fluent speaker or sound more native, yeah, learning slang and learning the informal language is important as well. So formal language is really good for university setting. I think that the informal language is really good for speaking and for conversation. So informal words and slang is important, I think.
Yeah, I also agree, Kenzie, that but the first time I talked to you guys as a volunteer, you speak a lot of slang, and I was like so crazy because I didn't know anything about that. We never learned slang at school, yeah. And then besides, you also speak Posh. So yeah, but then in fact that just like in our school, the teacher don't teach slang. We teach a formal language. So I think your suggestion works that the student needs to learn academic English first rather than slang, or they can just learn slang from the song or something. Yeah, but sometimes for us with slang, we feel cool. Like I'm feeling cool that I know slang, but not many people know that. Yeah, but then yeah, it's kind of like to add the knowledge. Now, whose turn? Ubaidillah, you want to ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. I want to ask about imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon. It is a condition when we are doubting our abilities and feeling like we are a fraud or we are a liar. This is sometimes happen to me, especially sometimes happen to highly achieving people who find it difficult to accept their accomplishment because sometimes they think, am I really deserve this? Do I really deserve this? And I want to ask about it. Have you ever experienced this kind of syndrome or this kind of phenomenon? And if you have experienced this kind of experience, how's your way to overcome that kind of problem? Thank you.
Yeah, I think I have experienced this a few times. I think first of all, being an English teacher when I first moved to Indonesia, because a lot of people I was meeting and working with, they had, at least a bachelor's degree in English or a master's degree in English, and they had all these certifications, and I didn't have that. My certification, you could say, not an official certification, was my experience. I had lots of experience, but it was not, I didn't have the paper to show. I didn't have any proof that I have the experience. So for me, that felt a bit like imposter. I was being an imposter, but being a teacher when all these other teachers spent all this money going to university for years and years and years to get the teaching degree, and I didn't. I think my best way to overcome that was by proving that I could do it. So gaining confidence in my abilities and being able to prove not to other people, but prove to myself that I was doing it. So for me, I did that by giving quizzes to my students and seeing my students get better. And then I could see, oh, there's the real results. Here's the paper that I didn't have before. Now I have the proof on the paper that I can do my job well because the students are getting better. And I think you can do that with yourself as well if you want to relate this to learning English. Like I put on one of the slides, taking the placement tests is a really good way for you to not feel down on yourself about your English abilities. So if you took a placement test at the beginning, I don't know, what semester are you in? What semester are you in?
I'm in the third semester currently, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you've ever done a placement test before, but if you did one now, and then you did another one in your sixth semester, the beginning of your third year, or sorry, I guess that would be your fifth semester. Anyway, if you did one or two semesters ahead of now, then you could see the improvement that you've had, and that goes for all of the. I think there's a lot of first semester students here as well. If you take the placement test, and then you take the same placement test, a year from now or 6 months from now, I think that can give you that confidence, like, oh no, I'm not lying to myself, I'm not lying to other people, I actually am doing better, I actually am improving and becoming, and that doesn't just go for speaking English, really, for whatever thing that it is that you want to be better at, or the thing that you're feeling not confident about, or feeling like an imposter. If you can find a way to prove to yourself that you are the thing that you are. So yeah, that's my advice. Finding a way to track yourself.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kenzie. I guess there is probably a fan close to you. Is there any?
Oh yeah, is it too loud?
Yeah. It sometimes sounds strange or something, but then thank you. So I would like to open for all the participants. Do you probably want to ask a question live? Is there any of you? Okay. While waiting for them, I think we just have a look for the question on the chat. That there are a lot, but I think some are similar. I mean, they have actually a similar question, like, is there an easy way to speak English? I think one of the challenges is on how that we feel not confident. Kenzie, we don't feel confident, and then we are just shy. Typically students, mostly in Indonesia, they are shy and then passive. But then by the time the teacher has to make such a kind of different methods to be in a discussion, to engage the student to be more active in a discussion, role play, or communicative learning, so that they can be more active, though it's still hard for some of the teacher. I just want to have a question, like, when you teach your students over there in Surabaya, do you also still find that there are some of them are shy, and then what's the kind of, because I think they're probably different from us, not in a big city, like they have more confidence or so, or what do you think, Kenzie?
Yeah, so I think that idea of being nervous or not confident with speaking is not only for you guys, it's for my students as well. So a lot of my students have been learning English since TK. What is TK? Sometimes I forget English words myself. Preschool.
Kindergarten.
Preschool.
Preschool, yeah.
Yeah, even before kindergarten. In preschool, even these students at my school have been learning English. Like, they've been in English schools since they were like 3 years old. And even those students who have been in schools that speak fully English since kindergarten or even before kindergarten, even those students are still nervous, even though those students, a lot of them have almost fluent English. Even those students are nervous because it's still not their first language. They're still not native English speakers, so they still have that nervous, that not confident about speaking. So that's why I try really hard to tell other students who aren't as fluent as some of the kids that I teach now, it's not about your fluency. The confidence and fluency don't go together. The confidence comes from practice. So the more normal it is for you to speak English, even if you're not fluent, it's okay. The more normal it is for you to speak English, the more your mouth uses English, the better your confidence is going to become. Because my students often use Surabayan or Indonesian, but with the Surabayan slang. Yeah. And that's how they speak all the time, like with their friends. So they don't use English outside of school, even though they're fluent in English. So they're not confident when it comes time to speak. So they have the same problem as someone who doesn't speak fluent English.
Yeah. I think it's also about the community who support, like where they live around, or probably they are also nervous because you are native English speaker. That probably bring
Yeah.
deep atmosphere, yeah? And you are the best source. And I also agree that sometimes I am also confident to speak English, though I know that my English is sometimes quite complicated. It's because in Indonesia, we tend to speak in a circle way, not just like you guys speak directly and then to the point. Even if in writing as well, that we write many things like in a circle and go around, it's sometimes so confusing for some of us, yeah. But then that's good. So I've got an interesting question, Kenzie, from Amanda TBID. Practicing English needs a partner, which is so true, and that's so true, who speaks English too for easier. What if people around us don't use English? And yeah, I agree that we don't use English. Like I myself only speak English to my students in the classroom. It is still half on half speaking Indonesian and English, and then not like a real partner because none of us speak English all the time for 20 hours every day and so on. So we don't have partner actually. Do you have any tips, Kenzie?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the web pages that I have on the PowerPoint. I mean, maybe I can send it to the PowerPoint to you and you can get it to the students. But
yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
I have some links on there as well that have free speaking websites that you can get on, and literally it's just to have conversations with other people who either are learning English or even some native speakers get on those websites.
Is that an online, you mean online website that we can talk to?
Online.
Oh, wow. That's
Sometimes
cool.
there's natives, but a lot of times it's like English language learning students from other countries that just want to practice their English with somebody. So they get on these websites and just speak. So you can like meet people and you can talk to people. And I have a list of like 7 different websites in the PowerPoint that I will send you. So I think if it's really hard to find friends who want to speak English, that's a good option, is to use a website where you can find people who are active in wanting to speak English. And you can put that on, give yourself a goal, using it once a week or twice a week, something like that.
Wow, that's super helpful. Yeah, I'm also eager to know the link, and I also want to try on. Yeah, Rika, do you want to ask the question?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Miss, what's your name? Kenzie. Miss Kenzie. I would like to ask about what's your opinion about when we want to talk in English to the native speaker? Like I'm a non-native speaker, then I want to have a conversation with you as a native speaker. So should I start with saying that, sorry, my English is bad, or it is unnecessary to say, or how does it work?
I think it's not necessary.
Thank you.
I think it's not necessary. It's something that I hear all the time from students. Sorry if my English is bad. And like, first of all, most of the time the English is not bad. So it's kind of goes back to that phrase, like you say what you are. So if you're saying it to me, hey, sorry, my English is bad, you're kind of telling yourself that also. Oh, my English is bad. So you're putting it back into your own head. If you just go with confidence and you just say, hi, my name is blah, 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 and I really just want to practice speaking. Can I speak with you for a few minutes? You don't need to say that you're not good at speaking. They're going to hear you speak and they'll be able to understand you. So you don't need to say that, because it's kind of putting yourself down, not giving yourself the chance to be good. You could be really good at English, but you don't have that confidence. And then you say it, sorry, I'm not good at English. It's kind of putting yourself down and automatically setting you up to have failure, because you're saying, sorry, I'm not good, when really you could be good. Maybe you already are good. You just don't have the confidence for yourself. So I think it's better if you just don't say it at all and you just try, because you don't want to make yourself feel like you're failing before you even begin. Yeah.
So I think also it's a part of our culture that we don't really feel confident on everything. So we say like, I am sorry that my English is not good, though actually we can speak English good. Or
I agree. It's definitely a cultural thing because even in Bahasa Indonesia, people say like,
maaf.
sorry, ask for forgiveness if I made any mistakes, like even using Bahasa Indonesia. So it's definitely a cultural thing. So that's why, I understand.
Yeah, so true. But then you are right that by saying I am sorry that I cannot speak English well, though we know that we can speak English good, and then it's just something to make us feeling down. Also, it's because we show that we are not confident, though we need to do like a better. Yeah, Kenzie, I'm wondering if maybe what do you think like when us as an Indonesian non-native English speaker speak English, do you understand our English, or do you find that person who speak English and you don't understand at all? Not because of, probably because of some reason. Accent? Do you think accent really works? Because we found like a lot of accents are various right now, like Indian English, we have Indonesian English, probably Surabaya English, yeah. And then does that influence you to understand them, or is just purely from the content or the word choice, or what do you think?
I think sometimes the accent is difficult to understand, but I think for the most part, it comes down to the person who's speaking. If they're very like speaking very quietly and like not confident to speak out, yeah, of course it's going to be hard to understand. But if the person is speaking with confidence and then they're not too shy, if I say what, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand you, and then they say it again. Sometimes if I say, oh, sorry, what did you say? Like people get more nervous, but it's it's okay if someone asks you like, oh, sorry, what did you say? Yeah, because again, you are not native speakers, and that's okay if you make the mistake. So I think I think that the most difficulties I probably would have maybe would be with pronunciation, but normally it's only like one or two words that I get that I don't understand the first time. It's not like everything the person's saying. It's maybe just specific words that they don't say exactly the right way.
Oh yeah. So the main important is that we speak with a correct pronunciation, and the accent probably change. Also, when I understand native speaker, sometimes I don't really understand on each word because you guys speak so fast. Yeah. So I just like grabs the idea on what's the main point of your set, and that's And then I also agree with you when you say, can you say it again, please? Sometimes, like in my class, it happened like, can you say it again, please? The students like, oh, no, it's my mistake, miss. Although I don't want to have their mistake, but I just want them to repeat once again because I don't understand. So sometimes related to, confidentiality or kind of. Thank you for sharing. Is there any more? Are there any more? Oh, yeah, we have Isnanda. You have the time. Isnanda, you are still muted.
Oh, okay. Hello, Miss Kenzie. I'm so nervous.
Okay.
I have a question. If speaking with native speakers, does it have to use the grammar well?
That's a good question. I think I saw that question earlier. I think I maybe mentioned this before, but for me as a native speaker, grammar is not the most important thing when it comes to speaking. So grammar is really important for writing and for things like that, because it's hard to understand writing if you don't write the words in the correct grammatical structure. But for speaking, if you say like, for example, if you want to say, over there, there's a mango tree. That's the correct grammar, right? Over there is a mango tree. If you just say, there, mango tree, I understand what you said, even though it's not correct grammar. It doesn't make it. If you wrote it down, their mango tree, maybe I wouldn't understand you if in writing. But for speaking, if you just say there, mango tree, and you your hands, use context around you. It's really doesn't have to be perfect grammar. And that goes for speaking with native speakers or even just speaking with your friends in practice. I think the grammar is not the most important aspect of speaking. For speaking, it's more important to just do the speaking, just say the words, say the phrases. Because if you just say, there, mango tree, I know exactly what you're saying. Or even if you just point, mango tree, I know what you're saying. You're trying to tell me there's a mango tree. So I think grammar is not the most important thing when speaking, for sure. The most important is that you're saying words in English.
Okay, thank you, Ismanda, for your question. I think also when speaking, we have gesture, Kenzie, so we can see the face of the person and we know the context, but then in writing, isn't that confusing if you use like wrong grammar when you say, oh, there's a mango over there, or you can say just like there was mango over there. It's between is and was quite different meaning. So isn't that confusing when you talk or when you listen to people who don't speak with grammatically correct in speaking, or what do you think?
For me, it's not so confusing if you're like in person and you have the context, right, of the conversation. I think it gets confusing maybe in like a recording or something like that. But if you're in an informal conversation with a native speaker, I think generally we will understand what you mean, even if the grammar is not correct.
Oh yeah, okay. Kenzie, this is also the question. Do you still have time to talk to us? Because I think there are still 3 students who raised their hand for sure. Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, you can ask the question.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Hello, Miss Kenzie.
Hello.
Okay, but before I ask my question, I would like to share a little experience of mine. My tutor asked us, a student in intermediate level, to avoid filler when speaking English. He said that if we can avoid the filler, our English will be like native speaker. My question is avoiding filler or hesitation important in speaking English? Are the native also avoiding those kind of filler and hesitation in their daily speaking? Thank you.
Yeah, I think generally that's a pretty good tip. There are definitely some native speakers who really, really like talking and talk way more with fillers than they need. But us as native speakers, we don't necessarily like that, I guess you could say. One good example is my little brother. My little brother, I love him so much, but he talks so much. Like when he tells a story, the story maybe is just like, I went to the store and I saw my friend. That's all he needs to say, right? But he will tell us every single detail. So I got into my car, I closed the door, I turned my car on, I drove to the store, I got out, I parked, I walked into the store, and then I saw my friend. When really all he needs to say is, I was at the store and I saw my friend. But my brother will tell you like an hour-long story, but the main thing that he needs to say is only like 1 minute. So I think that's a good tip in the sense that you don't need to make your speaking difficult for the person to understand. Because especially if you're still not super confident also, if you're making what you're trying to say much longer than it's needed, then you're going to feel nervous about getting everything out you want to say when you could say it in a shorter way. I do agree with that. I think that cutting out some fillers is definitely a good way to sound like a native speaker, and kind of speaking more directly, like Aini was saying, we have a different way, we're a bit more direct with what we're saying than Indonesians. So yeah, I think that's a really good tip. That's a good tip from your teacher.
Okay, so you just need to go to the point, strike to the point.
Yeah, just go to the point.
Yeah, the main point. Nico, do you want to ask a question, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Nico, this is my former student.
Hello, Kenzie.
Right? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you again, Kenzie.
Hi,
You're so beautiful today. So I'm going to ask you, Kenji. We know that you speak Indonesian so pretty well. Like, so I have two questions for you. My first question is, are Indonesian language as hard as we learn? Are Indonesian language hard to learn as we learn English? The second question is, how to build your confidence to speak Indonesia is same as how to uh, build up your confidence when you speak English. And
Yeah, so I think Indonesian generally is a much easier language than English. Yeah, Indonesian has, I think, less vocabulary in order to be able to speak. So what I mean by that is, like, if you know about 100 Indonesian words, like the most common words, you can have many, many conversations. Where with English, you need to know more vocabulary, I think, in order to have lots of conversation. And especially the grammar in English is much more difficult than the grammar in Indonesian. Indonesian grammar, you can mix the words around and still have the same meaning. Where in English, you have to say the words in a certain order if you want the meaning to be the same. So, yeah, I think you guys have it much harder than I had it, because first of all, you are living in Indonesia trying to learn English, where I already said only 10% of people here speak English. So that's already difficult. I was in Indonesia learning Indonesian. So like 100% of people speak Indonesian, only me doesn't speak Indonesian. So it was much easier for me to learn here. And also Indonesian is an easier language than English. So I think I got lucky on that side of learning the second language. But the confidence thing is the same for sure. I mean, one of my most normal experiences here is when I speak Indonesian, people just laugh because they're shocked that I can speak Indonesian, and they're not trying to be rude. But when you have someone laughing when you're trying to speak, it's really difficult to speak, and you feel so unconfident. Like, why are they laughing? What are they doing? I'm just speaking normal. Like, so it really, really made me like not confident at all to speak in front of people, because a lot of people will just laugh, but laughing not in a mean way, but just, you know, like shocked the foreigner can speak in Indonesian. So yeah, it's definitely I had a lot of confidence issues even until now. Speaking Indonesian, especially formal Indonesian, is like so not confident.
Yeah, so I also agree with you. You can see that even if in my classroom, when a student tries to speak and then the rest of them just ha 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 or laugh and say like, what's wrong with me, and something like to make you feel down or pressure. Yeah, thank you for sharing that so much. Nico, thank you for your question. So Nico, what's your
thank you.
when you were
Yeah.
in Kiri, Kenzie?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, when I was in SMA Duchumis. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Naswa, do you want to have a question? Do you want to ask the question?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, go on.
So maybe it's out of topic, but how do you create a good situation in the class? As sometimes it's kind of boring to study English because many students afraid to get conversation first.
I'm kind of a pressure teacher, so I force my students to do speaking activities. Like, if you don't do it, you will have a 0, which maybe that's a little bit too harsh, but it does make the students more confident, I guess, or more normal to speak in English in class. So I really like to do, especially in the beginning of the semester, do games or activities that are fun and exciting. And it gets people feeling more comfortable with each other. And then doing speaking activities like that have the score, so that they're forced to do it, especially in the beginning. And then normally by the end of the semester, they're getting more confident with each other, at least, or more comfortable with each other. So yeah, for me, I think my biggest thing in the classroom is trying to play games or activities to make people feel comfortable, not only with English, but with each other. So then the classroom can become kind of like a safe space for speaking English or using English. If we can make the classroom the safe space, then people will want to speak more and use the English more.
Yeah. So just using the game, yeah, to make the more energy. Because also it's sometimes also boring to learn not only English but also other lessons. It's just quite normal from the psychological student thing. Like sometimes students are feel boring or such so, but then that's a good strategy, Kenzie, to make the game. We have the last person, I think. Oh, we have the last student to raise the hand. Tadi ada satu kemana ya? Where is he? Okay, do you have more questions? I think that's all, yeah. We run for half an hour. And Kenzie, thank you so much again for sharing a lot of knowledge. I hope that today our students can have more motivation to learn English. Oh yeah, we still have one. Yogi. Bu Yogi is an English teacher. Bu Yogi, do you want to say something to Kenzie?
Well, by the way, can you hear my voice first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This just because I cannot hear your voice clearly actually. But here first I would like to say thank you for Kenzie, Miss Kenzie. Thank you very much. You just gave me a good insight and new spirit for teaching, and maybe I just I have to learn more, I guess, in English, so I can encourage my students to learn English better. Well, what to ask? Actually, I'm confused what to ask, but here I have one question maybe. And speaking English, sometimes we have like trouble or have like maybe this is because our confidence, the lack of our confidence, and maybe we don't get used to say English. So the problem is we have so much skip or so much pauses in speaking English. How to overcome this? Maybe some tips to overcome these pauses in speaking. I think that's all.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's dealing with the fluency, Kenzie, maybe.
Yeah. I guess so.
I think for like fluency and getting better with pronunciation and things so that you can have more confidence, a good thing to do is listening activities. So listening to music, listening to movies where there's a native speaker speaking, and then trying to copy the way that they say the words. So you can also do this with YouTube videos. There's a few YouTubers that do English videos that are really good, especially the one guy, Mr. D, I think is his name. I think he's been in Kadiri a few times, actually. Anyway, they do a lot of English YouTube videos where they talk about pronunciation and they talk about different kind of practice skills. And I think those listening activities can really improve the way that you learn English and the way that you hear English. So first listening and then trying to practice speaking the way that they speak, the native speakers speak, can improve your pronunciation skills, and then can make you also more confident because you feel like you're speaking the same as the native.
Yeah, I also agree, Kenzie, that this is a fun fact that happens in my classroom, that when I ask or when I give some links, I always give links from YouTube to be the references for my students. And then I ask them like, which one do you like, listening to me speaking or listening to the native speaker speaking? And they just like, I like YouTube more. And then, wow, so that must be interesting for them, yeah? First listening from the YouTube and then copying the way how the native speaker speaks, yeah. Thank you so much for today, Kenzie. I know it's been quite Yeah, you know, this is weekend and we spend an hour and a half. That we are sorry if we bother your weekend time. But then you have a really you really have a good insight and knowledge for all of us. And for the closing ceremony, not the closing ceremony, but just a closing remark, Bu Ari, please say something to all of us or to Kenzie just to close the session, before we close the session.
All right, thank you, Miss Aini. What have already been said by Miss Aini is 100% correct. Yeah, we are so sorry if we maybe are bothering your weekend, Kenzie, and it's really, really very helpful for us. And I'm wondering that you are still live in Indonesia and you are not in Surabaya. I thought you have already flying to USA, but you are still in Indonesia. It's really amazing to
Still
hear
here.
that. Okay, I wish you luck for anything that you have already done in Indonesia, Kenji. And thank you very much for once again being here. And hopefully next time we will invite you again if we have such kind of this event. Thank you very much, Kenji.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
This is going to be the last session, the Super Indonesian session. This is a photo session, Kenzie. For all.
Yes, Indonesian style.
Yeah, we have Buria as the host. Buria, are you ready? The participants, you can turn on your camera so that we can have the photo session together with Kenzie.
Okay, are you ready? In 3, 2, 1, say cheese. Okay, one more. 3, 2, 1. Great.
Okay, now everybody can say bye to Kenzie. Kenzie, thank you so much again.
Thank you, guys. Good luck with your studies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Kenzie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kenzie.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh ya, untuk sertifikatnya, Buria.
Oh yeah. Wait.
Okay, for the participants, please hang on because Buria is going to send the certificate. I've got the last message from the chat. TBID, Arofian Zulfi Faza. Whisper. Buria, you need to stop the live YouTube.
Yep.
Saking asiknya sampai lupa.